Did you know there's a single platform that combines secrets management, human secure remote access, and certificate lifecycle management, all with unified logging? Most teams still rely on separate tools for each of these, which means more complexity, more vendors, and more room for error. That siloed approach often leads to fragmented policies, blind spots in audit logs, and delays in responding to security events. In this walkthrough, you'll see how Akeyless brings all of it together, securing a Postgres database end-to-end with just-in-time credentials, TLS certificates, and secure remote access with no credentials to manage, all from a single control plane. Stick around to see how it stacks up and why many are choosing Akeyless over tools like CyberArk. This video is actually associated with a blog post where I talk about a comparison between Akeyless and CyberArk. Check it out in the comments below. Let's dive into the demo right now. Our demo is to secure a Postgres database end-to-end. And this walkthrough really shows us how one platform manages everything around Postgres. So secrets, certificates, and access for humans, all controlled from the same console and policy boundary. So the first part here is the on-demand dynamic secret. So we'll see how we can create dynamic credentials just in time for applications to be able to access this Postgres database with no long-lived secrets. The second part here will be certificate issuance. We're going to issue a TLS certificate that we can use with this database. No separate CA system needed, all within Akeyless. And then a just-in-time access for users, maybe DBAs or somebody who needs access into the database. We can see how we can access the database without worrying about any credentials for that database. We click a button and we're inside that database, whether through an SSH session or directly through the web portal. And finally, a unified audit trail where we're going to see our secret requests, certificate issuance, and remote sessions all appear in one same log stream in the same platform. Of course, we have the option to also send logs to an external SIM, for example, like Splunk, but all of this is available within Akeyless. So let's go ahead and jump into our demo. All right, so I'm inside of Akeyless right here, and I have two folders. I've got the Postgres folder and an SSH folder. I want to show you real quick what's in the Postgres folder. I have a bunch of certificates that I had from before, but I can quickly filter here and focus on dynamic secrets because that's the first part of the demo here. And I have a dynamic secret where I can click a button and get a dynamic just-in-time secret that has a TTL of 1 hour. So you can see a username and password that we get right here. And everything I'm going to show you in the UI is available through the CLI and the API. In fact, if you are going to use dynamic secrets with an application, you're definitely going to be using the API for that. So from here, we can generate another dynamic secret if we wish. We can close that and we can go here and take a look at the temporary credentials that were issued. You can see that I have 3 here. I have one before the demo started over here, and we can go ahead and revoke any of these like that. This takes a few seconds and it will revoke this particular access into the database, and we only have 2 left here. So that's the first part that I wanted to show you, that we can create a dynamic secret just in time that we can apply to our applications and minimize long-lived credentials. Okay, so for the next part here, we're going to go ahead and create our PKI infrastructure. And you can see here this document on the Akeyless website, building your chain of trust. This is the way you should be doing things when you're building a PKI. So you have a root CA that signs an intermediate CA. And then from the intermediate CA, you can start to issue leaf certificates. And you don't always need to have a root CA within Akeyless itself. Some organizations will have their own root, but that root can sign a certificate that you can then embed inside of Akeyless as an intermediate CA that goes ahead and signs all your leaf certificates. So that creates a chain of trust. And there is a very neat command here, which I already actually used in our lab. The Akeyless generate CA command, and I'll show you what it builds once you issue it. It builds the entire chain. So you can see here under the PKI folder, we get the certificates, the root certificate here, as you can see, with its private key. And then if you go out and look at the intermediate CA, you can see its certificate with its private key. And then if you go back all the way to the issuers, we now have a root issuer, and that root issuer is what issued the certificate for the intermediate. And the intermediate is what we will use to issue the leaf certificates, as you can see under the example.com domain. And if we go back here to PKI, you'll see the keys. So we have an intermediate key. That's the key that was used with the intermediate CA. And then we have a root key as well. And then I created a leaf key, which is a classic key here. So it's as simple as just creating an encryption key like this, and then filling out the information, and it will generate a key for you. I used RSA 2048 and the gateway that I'm working with. And that's the key that we're going to use with our leaf certificate. So if we go now to the CLI here, all right, so a few steps here. First, of course, you need to authenticate into Akeyless. I've already done that with SAML. And then second step is generate your CA chain. We already saw that in the documentation. And then the third step is what I want to focus on, and that's where we're going to create a certificate signing request, CSR. So let's go ahead and copy this command as is. And what this is going to do is going to reference that leaf key that I just showed you and export the private key. And we use the common name test.example.com. That's the cert we're going to create. And we push that to the demo cert.csr file, which is here. So you can see the certificate request right here and the RSA private key right here. So if we go back and next we want to take out or extract our private key from this file. So this file, see here, begin RSA private key. We're just running a quick sed command to extract the private key into its own file. And once we do that, we can then run the final command that will issue the leaf certificate. So Akeyless get PKI certificate. So we can issue this command. And what this is going to do, it basically references the intermediate CA issuer and reference that CSR file path that we just created over here, along with the demo cert key, the private key that we just saw. And that will all go to this demo cert.pem, which references demo cert key. And this is the actual certificate with the entire chain. So you can see the leaf at the bottom, then the intermediate CA certificate, and then the root CA certificate. So the entire chain is now created. So if you go back to Akeyless and go back to the demo chain right here, you see a new folder shows up called certificates. And in it, you see our certificate has been created, the test.example.com. And if you look closely here under the certificate, you'll see that it has the entire chain here. So as I go down, there's the end of the first certificate, the second one, which is the CA, the intermediate CA, and then the final one, which is the leaf certificate, all in here. The private key also shows up, as you can see. And that was pretty easy. And from this point forward, you can continue to create different certificates and work with them. But not only that, you can actually provision the certificate onto a machine. So we can go ahead and click the attach button and then look for our target. And we have, here's our Postgres target. So we're going to provision the certificate with the private key onto the machine right there. And we're going to actually access it at this particular path on the remote machine. So var lib Postgres data, pg data, server.crt. And then this is for the private key, and this is for the chain. And really, you can provision with a particular command to restart the Postgres database. I'm just going to put any command in here, but you would use it for whatever service that you're actually attaching TLS to, so that you can get that service to restart and pull in the certificate right away. So we can click attach, and that will go ahead and attach this certificate to that target machine. Excellent. So this takes us to our next part of our demo, and that is to access machines with secure remote access. So for humans to access machines securely without needing VPN, we can do that with Akeyless directly. Again, same product, we can jump right into it. And we have the portal right here. So you can see we have a Postgres, 2 apps, SSH, 2 apps. So if I go to Postgres, you can see our Postgres web client that will take us directly into our web portal for Postgres. And you can see everything you need to do here inside of this database, which is really cool. But at the same time, I can SSH into, I have a Linux box, and I also have that Postgres database, so I can SSH into it. And as you can see, there's no credentials at all that I need here. This is all taken care of. The credentials being dynamic within Akeyless itself, this is all taken care of for me behind the scenes. Now that I'm inside the Postgres database, well, inside the machine that has the Postgres database, I can find that certificate that we provisioned. So varlib Postgres data pg data, and if I ls here, there we go. We have our server.ca, server.key, server.cert, and if I want to look into these, server.crt, cat that, here's my certificate, cat server.ca, here's the entire chain, and then finally cat server.key, here is my private key. And now if I want to see how to configure Postgres to pull this, this is again a Postgres configuration. So let's take a quick look here at this config. So if we look at postgres.conf and do a more postgres.conf, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll be able to find the SSL section. Here it is. So for SSL section, you just need to uncomment SSL cert file, the SSL CA file, and the SSL key as well. And from there, we can restart the service and it will pull up the certificate and it will be running with TLS. But again, that can be done automatically for us with the provision, and just update this command to restart the machine. And every time I hit provision, it goes out and provisions the certificate to the machine, so we can automate this and get new certificates issued and provisioned automatically for us, which is really great. I don't have to worry about the provisioning process. It's done for me automatically, and the renewal is done for me automatically, and all again in one product. Now, a couple of comments here. As you can see, this is a web portal to allow you to log into different applications that are exposed. There is also a Akeyless Connect tool, which is CLI based. This allows us to, here's the documentation for it. You can download it and then use it through your CLI. You can log in through SSH to databases and other things that support a text-only interface. There's also an Akeyless tunnel mode as well. So this is where you can open a network tunnel to the remote service, allowing you to connect with your own local tools. Furthermore, Akeyless Desktop is in beta right now, and it's a more friendly user interface that you can download like a fat client on your machine, log in with SAML, for example, or OIDC, and it shows you the list of your targets that you have access to. And when you hit connect, it opens the tunnel, fetches the credentials, and launches a local application of your choice. And it's ready to go for the target that you've selected. So different ways of accessing those targets are available. But the main message here is that it's all in one tool with support from one vendor in one product that you can access together. All right, we're back in here inside of Akeyless, and the last part of our demo today is to show you the audit logs and how it's a very rich audit log that you can access straight within the tool itself. And of course, like I said, you can push logs to Splunk or another SIM of your choice. So the first thing I want to do here is look for certain actions, such as access to dynamic secret, for example. And you can see this is where we accessed the dynamic secret multiple times in the past here. Let me just filter on my ID here. So this is where we've accessed those dynamic secrets. We can filter on that particular action. And also we can see things like our certificate. So the certificate that we generate, PKI certificate, we saw that we've created that as well. And here are the audit logs for it. All right, so a very rich set of logs and audit logs here that you can see. Now, if you want to see session recording as well, that is available. And there are two types. There's an RDP session recording that you can see here, and that basically allows you to create a video file of the entire session, preserving all user interactions within the remote desktop. And you can store this in an AWS S3 bucket or Azure Blob Storage for long-term retention and review. Also, terminal-based sessions, you can do that as well for SSH sessions, database, Kubernetes, as you can see here. And that is also available, and you can forward that to external systems like Splunk, Elasticsearch, or vSyslog as well. So that is very easy and can be created and sent to, like I said, the relevant destination. And you can do that for reviewing any kind of elevated privileges or whatever else that you want to monitor with session recording. And really, this takes us to the end of our demo. Akeyless allows us to have one platform, one control plane, zero fragmentation, multiple tools within the platform, allowing us to create dynamic secrets that are short-lived that applications can utilize, allowing us to use secure remote access for humans to access the different resources that we have, like databases. Also, an entire CLM for managing certificates. And finally, a very rich audit trail to be able to understand exactly what's going on across all the tools within the platform. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.